What's going on, Ryan? This is Raj from Eastside Rage, and I have to say, I'm impressed with EA. I never thought I'd see the day where I would be praising one of their games. I honestly thought they would drop the ball with this one. But I gotta say, the remake of Dead Space is awesome. They kept everything that made the original amazing and capitalized on it. They just built on it. They tenfold. It's easy to say that this is close to the perfect remake. Dead serious, no pun intended. If you're a fan of the survival horror, it's a must buy. Even if you're unfamiliar with the Dead Space series and coming off the Resident Evil series like I am, you'll enjoy it. I am not lying. It's interesting how a new team that EA hired managed to make remake better than the original team. And, you know, Glenn Schofield, the person who opened up his own company, Striking Distance Studios, who was the creator of the original Dead Space, co-creator, somehow managed to make, I would say, in my opinion, the biggest disappointment game of the year. I'm sorry I gotta bust this chops where it's due. But yeah, anyway, let me just get on to the review. This game rocks. And I guess we could just step into the story. For those who don't know the story of Dead Space, it takes place in the year 2508. Through the centuries, Earth has become overpopulated and has very little to no resources. The game takes place on this ship called Ishimura by a planet called Aegis 7 or Aegis 7. I think it's Aegis 7. Anyway, the ship has the ability to mine other planets to keep humanity going. However, something is wrong with the spaceship. It hasn't been doing its daily routine. You play as Isaac Clarke, a system engineer cited by his team Kendra Daniels, Zach Hammond, and Aiden Chan, who were sent by the company CEC, that's Concordance Extraction Corporation. They are sent to do an emergency maintenance job and find out why Ishimura has lost communication and his girlfriend apparently is on board. I'll get into details on that later. You know, those who don't know, those who know. You know the meme. But they end up crash landing on it or whatever and realize something is wrong. There's no signs of life. And the ones that they do find are corpses that are mutated and reshaped into humanoid-like infectious beings called necromorphs. They come from things called like markers. The black ones originate from space like asteroids. The red ones are made from intelligent civilizations. However, the planet-side team just couldn't stay away, I guess. I don't know why. I guess I probably missed that. Eventually, a crew got infected and brought it in the ship, and an outbreak occurred. Now maybe they could have gotten away and saved it, but no. There's always a couple of jackasses, and one of them who did it tenfold was this scientist head ass clown, and he embraced this idea. It probably was the main. No, he was the main cult or whatever. It was like a zealot formation, like a type of religion or whatever, and he made the idea that the necromorphs were the key to life after death. This guy called Dr. Chalice or Callus Mercer, can't pronounce his name, but and he may be your class of the, I'm not gonna lie, he may be your classic of the run-of-the-mill mad scientist, but they do it right, and he's a great antagonist despite getting not getting a lot of camera time. He gets, I guess it's not too short, it's in between. But anyway, the occult obsession made him go insane. Him being a zealot to the Church of Unitology, experiments made him go to extreme lengths. He would experiment on people voluntarily, or even involuntarily. It was fucked up. That was his way of spreading his religion. He's one of the main reasons Ishimura became so fucked. Him and the captain. But the captain, I would say, didn't fuck it up as he did. It's up to Isaac, who you are, to not only find a way off this ship, but bring an end to all this madness. There are a lot of crazy fucking twists in this game. Okay, I'm not gonna go into too many details due to spoilers. One of them has to do with Isaac going insane himself a few years ago before this incident. Having an incident or whatever in Ishimura, he had to stay into asylum for a few years. Like, I'll get into details about that later, though. I'll give you a warning. But despite that, Isaac is a smart, round, fantastic engineer and a resourceful one at that. He's an awesome dude. I mean, most of his tools aren't even fucking guns. He uses them so well against enemies. I mean, I'm gonna get to the weapons later on, but dude, he cuts these motherfuckers up. Yeah, bro, like, he gets through them. Not to mention, making him speak was amazing, was smart. It was good. It gave him so much character and added to the story for the other characters. And Gunnar Wright from the OG Dead Space, well, Dead Space 2 and 3, not 1, him reprising his role ages so well. And he does an amazing job. I'm proud of him, as well as the woman who played his girl. I didn't really look up her name. Well, as for the other actors, getting to his girl, Nicole, and then, okay, here it's going to be a spoiler. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you when to skip ahead or whatever if you don't want to hear it. If you do, whatever. I mean, if you play Dead Space, you already know. Nicole Brandon happens to be one of the main survivors on board or whatever for a while. I mean, she did her best to stop Mercer and the captain's plans, but it's saving a lot of people. But eventually, that all goes south inevitably. Isaac actually does, well, he thinks he saves her, but he doesn't know that she is dead. She is dead. She died on that ship. So throughout the whole game, she's just an hallucination. And I should have seen it coming earlier because she was on that ghost creepy timing or whatever. She didn't even seem all that realistic. She was always somewhere. So throughout, yeah, like I said, this is the reason why he spent all those years in an asylum, because he never accepted her death, and it drove him nuts. It's honestly had me feeling bad for him after the playthrough, and I decided to look more into this or whatever. It was pretty amazing. The backstories, is amazing. The files, they do it well. Man, there's a lot of foul play in this game, though. Even amongst your crew, there's a traitor amongst you. And while I won't say who it is, if you haven't played if you haven't played Dead Space, I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, you'll find out, and the twist will drive you crazy. The writing and the characters are so excellent. Like I said before, this game doesn't cut corners or content. It builds and keeps building and building and building and adding. And that being said, I'm going to move on to the gameplay, and you'll see more of what I mean. The gameplay feels so modernized while keeping all the elements that made Dead Space gold in the first place. The horror factor is through the roof on this one. The game takes place on Ishimura in about 6 to 7, maybe 8 sections from what I remember, excluding the last part. I'm not going to spoil that. They are unlocked as you progress, and they're all really good. They're really nicely done. And once you unlock them, you can have access to them all throughout the game with no loading screens whatsoever. The remake introduces so many random encounters you can have while backtracking as well. Or, forward tracking, either one. Once I saved the game, and I thought, I was safe because I did it. But as soon as I turned around, 3 enemies were behind me, tearing me to shreds. You gotta be careful. They sometimes will even follow you into a different room if you think you're safe. You're not. This is another reason why the backtracking feels so good. And as for jump scares, I know it's a jump scare, I hate jump scares, if you know this. It's not because they're scary, because I feel they're often lazy and there's just gotcha moments or whatever. But this game's atmosphere is so horrific. It always feels like you're never in a safe, you know, area or whatever. The tension makes you tread carefully. What's gonna happen next? Like, what's gonna happen if I do this, go down this corner or whatever? It's not jump scares or whatever. You just gotta always be on point. And yeah, that's what makes the backtracking level design so well done. Well, one of the reasons, not all of the reasons, you know. Yeah, other reasons would be, you know, enemies, missions, all that stuff. But I'm going to get to that in a second. All right, now here are the side missions. Yeah, the side missions, they're side missions too. And, you know, the game, like, builds upon it. There's more rooms, more side missions, more balance that give you more information on what happened on Ishimura or whatever. And what, you know, some characters did in it or whatever. They also have some great puzzles. I mean, you have great puzzles, even though they're a little tough. You know, you get used to them. Once you figure it out, you can get going. Sometimes I needed to go on YouTube to find them out. However, I hate it when they would mix the puzzles with zero gravity section. It's not a big design issue, whatever, but it's annoying and very frustrating when you're trying to figure out a puzzle and an enemy is attacking from left and right and you don't know where they're at. You're getting hit with acid and everything. That was a pain in my ass, honestly. That was pretty annoying. But other than that, I would say, yeah, exploring Ishimura all over was pretty nice. Even in tough spots where, you know, there are even spots where you can't actually breathe or whatever. That's really nice. Well, you have a timed oxygen supply. You can upgrade that. But yeah, you gotta make sure you're moving and getting that done. Otherwise, he could suffocate. Now, moving on to weapons and you know, combat and your gadgets. They're all pretty dope too. Pretty cool. You got the plasma cutter for the starter, and it's mostly my favorite. Rips right through people or whatever. The pulse rifle was my least favorite, but it grew on me as I progressed through it. The flamethrower, you know, nice. You already know the contact beam. You know, it's like this thing that you could take, and it takes a bunch of this plasma and just rips right through anything. The line gun, a pretty powerful weapon, and the force gun. If I remember, if that's everything. If I don't, just let me know, because you know, game has a lot of stuff too. These all can be upgraded at the bench, as well as your suit, and you could also find parts for your weapon. It could be found all over the ship and allowing different paths for more upgrades. So it's important to be on your Dora the Explorer timing and explore all your surroundings so you can get everything and get access to other doors. Or otherwise, I'm gonna be honest with you, you'll be more fucked than sharing the cell with the booty warrior, because enemies don't let up. They get worse, they get tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher throughout the game. The combat system is pretty simplistic or whatever. I mean, it really isn't all that special, but it works. It works well. So instead of destroying the head like you do in most zombie games, in Dead Space you gotta shoot the limbs off. Popping the head off won't work. The body will operate without the head. If they get too close, you could perform a chameleon attack, stomp on them to the oblivion, or just run away and try to reposition yourself, because you do not want to be in a bad area where you're crowded. Luckily for you, in this game, unlike some other games, Callisto Protocol, you're faster than your enemies. Although it's easy to say it's pretty tough or whatever, but you got it. But you'll have it if you get down to the basics. Moving on to enemies, the enemies normally consist of slashers and spitters. Okay, they look the same, but no, they're not. One could run up to you and cut you up. The other one could spit acid at you and cut you up. So yeah, you gotta be on the lookout. Normally these guys are easy one-on-one. You could fuck them up, but if it's a group of them, you gotta be on point, because they are really tough in a pack. And moving on to, I would say the next one would be these little guys with tentacles. They're called lurkers. They look like they're nothing, but they're really tough, and they use acid to spit on you. They could climb up walls, be everywhere, and their weak spot are the tentacles that they shoot the acid at you with. I would normally recommend that you use, the line cutter, or the line cutter or something like that, or maybe the freaking plasma gun, or maybe sometimes if you're looking to get rid of them past the pulse rifle. Okay, but next we're moving on to the leapers. Normally leapers, they're like these saber tooth like looking beasts. They're normally easy. They're not that fast. Even though they could jump on you, you could use a QTE to get them off of you. But in zero gravity sections, they could be a nightmare, honestly, because they're so fast. And Isaac, in that zero gravity, he's so slow. So it's pretty tough. Pregnants are kind of exactly what they sound like. It's like necromorphs, but it's a necromorph, like a slash or a spitter that has baby necromorphs inside of them. So you should not shoot them in the stomach, or swarmers will come out and will try to suck the life out of you. So your best bet is to just burn them alive with the flamethrower. Exploders are the suicide bombers of the game. Honestly, you could either shoot their limbs off or go from far and shoot them in that little pouch they blow you up in. However, if they get too close to you, they could kill you if your health is not up there with swing, or take most of your health down. Guardians are probably, for me, they were the most annoying in the game. They're only on a wall in the direction where you need to go most of the time, but they have birthed these things that shoot acid at you and can take your fucking head off with one hit. It was pretty annoying. This is where the stasis becomes useful. This thing slows objects and enemies down. Normally used for puzzles and doors. Those objects. It's also helpful against brutes. This is where the stasis becomes useful. Brutes becomes useful again. It slows these things down. And honestly, the brutes feel like, they seem like they're all tough and everything at first, but all you gotta do is use the stasis to slow them down, get behind them, use the line cutter or the other line cutter or whatever, and just shoot those little yellow things on the back of it and it'll be dead. Okay, they also have stalkers. They also have these, let me start with the infectors. These things that are infectors that reanimate corpses that look like sheets on the ground, like little bats or whatever. So your best bet is if you come into a room where there's a bunch of dead things on the ground, stomp them out so it can't reanimate them or whatever, and you can fight them. But don't think it won't try to turn you into one if you do not be careful. You also have stalkers, twitchers, and worst of all, regenerators. These guys are inspired by the regenerators from Resident Evil 4, and they do it well. The main difference is that they don't have any weak points. You would need to completely annihilate them for their limbs to stop regenerating. That means you would have to get something else that's not of your weapons. You can use the stasis to slow them down and shoot their legs off or something like that, but it'll come back. The boss fights are pretty well done in this game as well. Yes, they're challenging and be fucking infuriating, but once you get the hang of it, the game is you could keep, once you get the hang of it, it could, and just learn how the game works, keep your weapons upgrading, your soup upgraded while conserving health and ammo, you'll shoe in for victory. But if you fuck up, this game's deaths can be really unforgiving. Enemies will rip your limbs off, bite your head off, blow you up, rip you to pieces, you name it, they will do it in the most horrific ways. They did a great job on the animations, I'm not gonna lie. Moving on to graphics, we're almost done here. I'm pretty impressed overall. Okay, they're not the greatest and not on the level of Callisto Protocol. Yes, this is my third time comparing it. Well, they're kind of, similar, but whatever. But this game has some major details. Everything, graphical aspect has seen some major improvements from the original. I'm talking about character models, like even like his suit, Freak Isaac's suit or whatever. Faces they're now motion captured or whatever by their actors, the textures or whatever, the lighting and the environmental details, even the enemies got, seeing some major improvements, and the visuals are breathtaking. I'm not too heavy in the graphics or whatever, but I highly suggest if you want to get a more detailed rundown on the graphics and audio and sound design, head over to Nick 930. He does episodes of direct comparison or whatever. Okay, because me. I just normally cover like things like controls and things like that, gameplay. But yeah, it's good. But the sound design and music, to sum it up, are out of this world. No pun intended. You can hear people dying and monsters all throughout the rooms in Shimura just echoing. Footsteps just crushing on flesh. Really gets in there. The shooting sounds nice. The music is frightening. Especially when swarmers come towards you. They have this like high pitched like music you hear in horror movies, and it works as well. It's phenomenal. I mean, there are even details outside of it, little minor details outside of graphics, like for example, when you're in space or whatever, that you fire doesn't work in space. You can't use your freaking flamethrower, and you can't hear. You're in a vacuum or whatever. It's amazing. They have little details that help it work and adds to the immersion, making you feel like you're there. So, but I'm gonna wrap this up. Dead Space is the remake of the century. Probably the best remake I played. Probably a little bit better than Resident Evil 2 in some areas, although Resident Evil 2 remake is my favorite. It capitalizes on the original with sweet design decisions, extra content. It just builds, like I said before. The combat is way smoother. It's horrifying. The stories and characters is vastly improved or whatever, and they don't remove content. They just build. Like Bob the fucking Builder. It's the ultimate blast from the past, and it's worth $70. You can bet your ass it is, alright? It's a badass game. Alright, this is why I'm rated a 9 out of 10 with the seal of rage approval. This is amazing. Pick it up now. Now, I know you're wondering why, Raji. You're giving it a 9 out of 10. Why not a 10 out of 10? Because, you've been praising it. Yes, I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but there is just one issue that I have a problem with it and made me take off a whole point. It would have made me take off 2 points if this game wasn't excellent. It's game-breaking glitches. I'm gonna be honest. It's game-breaking glitches are a fucking problem. I mean, I ran into 4. Okay, let me explain it. One time I had to get to, I think it was mining and engineering. They share the same platform. The shit wasn't opening up, so the game soft locked on me. So I had to find another way around to get the game working again. The game decides to do this next glitch 2 times. One out of nowhere while I was off stream. The other one while I was streaming, where you're supposed to be in the room. The room is supposed to quarantine and lock or whatever until you kill everything. I moved a bit too fast. The quarantine happened or whatever, and I was in another room. I didn't think nothing of it because the enemies were in there locked in there. I didn't care. I moved on. Guess what? I mean, a ship that was supposed to come in like near the end of the game when you leave Ishimura, spoiler, didn't spawn. I should have said spoiler earlier. And then, like, at the this last mission, the game crashes. I'm sorry. I mean, I know maybe I'm being a little too hard on it, but come on, man. I mean, this game soft locking constantly and having these game-breaking glitches is ridiculous. I not only encountered them myself, but I looked up online. People are running into issues where, the game will just soft lock, stop working, have the stalker blocking the way. That is not good. But anyway, it is great. I mean, they need to fix it with patches. I mean, I know patches are inexcusable. The game shouldn't be doing that. But yeah. Yeah, I'm impressed with it. I'm glad. But I'll catch you on the next stream. I might be streaming Sonic or Hogwarts Legacy up until Resident Evil 4 Remake comes out next week. But anyway, this has been Eastside Rage signing out. Keep raging out.